Today is Monday, Parashat Re'eh. One of the mitzvot in this parasha is the mitzvah of helping the needy. But the pasuk says, "Ki yecha becha evyon me'ahad achecha be'ahad sha'arecha." But there will be among you a needy person from among your brothers within your gates. And from this Rashi explains that the priority should be given that those who are the relatives, your brothers, those who are close relatives, would take priority over people that are part of your city. And then your city, the needy people of your city would take precedence over the people from other cities, so that we have responsibility to the people that are closest to us before we enlarge the circle. We of course have to help anybody that asks for assistance, but we have more of a responsibility. And unfortunately, sometimes we've seen people who are more willing to help an organization where their name would be publicized, but if it's a brother or a relative that comes for help, even for a loan, they may be reticent to help as much as they should. So this pasuk that speaks about helping the needy indicates that we do have a responsibility to the relatives, those that are close to us, before we go even to the wider circles. And the pasuk goes on to say, "Lo te'ametz et levavecha." Do not harden your heart. People, when they're asked to help, sometimes go through, in some situations, like an agonizing type of deliberation. Do I help? Do I not help? How much do I help? How much do I not help? The pasuk tells us, don't harden your heart. Be willing to give. Velo tikpotz et yadecha, and do not close up your hand. The next pasuk is going to say, Patoach tiftach, open you shall open, even many times. You don't say, I already gave earlier today. Another needy person needs help, open your hand again. Or you helped that person once before and he needs again help. Patoach tiftach, open you shall open. Do not close your hand. We should also understand that whatever monies, assets, belongings that Hashem has granted to us are basically in trust with us. We're like the chief executive officer, if you wish, over whatever Hashem has granted us. Question is, how do we use it? Because it's all His. He just gave it to us in trust. And when somebody comes asking for assistance, when there's an opportunity to give and to help, a person should realize that whatever he has was given to him, possibly, so that he could help people who are in need. And therefore, when somebody is put to test, in a sense, quote unquote, to test, somebody comes to ask you, Hashem sent him your way. Now what do we do? Do you remain aloof and indifferent? Or are you going to be compassionate and use what Hashem gave you, which is actually ultimately belongs to Hashem? You're just managing the affairs that are in your hands in trust. Are you going to use some of that money to help the person in need? Of course, there are rules. We have the idea of the 10% of the earnings. You want to be even more generous, you can go up to 20%. And up to 20% of your earnings, if you use it to help the needy, that's commendable. And even if it's not a big sum, if somebody comes to ask for help and you give whatever you give, the idea is when you're approached for assistance, you don't remain indifferent. You don't harden your heart. You don't close your hand. On the opposite, you open and you give. And our sages say that when you give, you'll benefit yourself. Because that's one of the things that when you give maaseh, when you give assistance, Hashem gives you more so that you're able to do more mitzvot and to help more people. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen.